Jake Paul's California mansion has been raided by the FBI, multiple news organizations report. You can see in this aerial footage agents in uniform outside his home in Calabasas.
When names like Anthony Joshua are mentioned, they represent more than a single event. They symbolize what happens when controlled environments disappear and a fighter meets someone who cannot be negotiated with, scripted around, or protected by clauses. Elite competition exposes gaps that marketing can hide only temporarily.
Jake Paul's attorney says he was out of state and not at his Calabasas home during that raid today. The FBI says they're investigating allegations of criminal acts for an incident that he's known for being in the public eye. But today, YouTube star Jake Paul is making headlines after an FBI raid at his home in Calabasas. Sky 5 was over the scene Wednesday morning as federal agents entered Paul's home in a gated community off Mulholland Highway. 24 feds, some in tactical gear, could be seen carrying evidence from the property, including several firearms. After the search, a SWAT team was seen leaving in a procession of law enforcement vehicles.
The volatility of this story is what keeps audiences watching. Each accusation leads to another clip, interview, denial, and breakdown, creating a loop where doubt becomes entertainment. From an AVD perspective, it works because it blends fear, scandal, authority, and unanswered questions, pulling viewers forward with the promise that the next reveal might confirm what they already suspect, or flip the narrative entirely.
Right, because of the weight difference in there, I only know one man that'll do the weight difference like that, and that's the Bronze Bomber. You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, of the weight difference, and you know, Joshua is a former, you know, champion, and also, you know, he's current, he's active. You know, I mean, this is going to be the first time that we see Paul, you know, fighting an active fighter. You know, I mean, we seen the Mike Tyson, that was all fun, that was cute. You know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff, but now you're dealing with a real professional.
At its core, this isn't just about Jake Paul as an individual, but about a cultural clash between traditional combat sports values and influencer-era promotion. Control, virality, and optics often overpower the brutal honesty that once defined elite fighting. Whether Paul escapes this credibility cloud depends not on words, but choices. If patterns repeat, the audience will decide the illusion was never real.
A couple of hours, there's been some reports about an apparent leaked script. Have you seen this?
Move on. If people think that he's going to do a quick two-step and do this, and this, I hope he just goes out and takes his head clean off with the first punch and lets him know who Tommy Fury actually is. There's one interview, and I'm going to name it now, Lyndon Arthur, absolute fantastic, that man. I don't read that much on social media because it's all bullshit, but Lyndon Arthur, thank you very much. From me to you, you said something about Tommy being a proper fighter, can really punch, one of the hardest punches he's been in. Now for Lyndon Arthur to go and say that, Lyndon Arthur's a proper hard, tough man, we all know that. So Lyndon, respect, thank you.
The shift in perception didn't come from a single punch, but from a growing realization that spectacle and selective matchmaking had replaced competitive purity. As figures like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Dana White, and Michael Bisping entered the discussion, fans began seeing Paul less as a fighter and more as a symbol of a manufactured era where narrative outweighed merit.
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
Did you carry Mike?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Yeah, like there was a point where, you know, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever. And I could just tell, you know, his age was showing a little bit. And I just have so much respect for him. And that like violence war thing between us, like after he slapped me, I wanted to, you know, be aggressive and take him down and knock him out and all that stuff. But that kind of went away as the rounds went on.
In combat sports, real reckonings are rarely cinematic. Jake Paul's rise wasn't just about wins, but how those wins were packaged and defended. Accusations of rigged fights didn't appear in a vacuum. Fighters like Deontay Wilder questioned legitimacy, Oscar de la Hoya echoed insider doubts, and fans noticed patterns, glove sizes, rounds, opponents that felt closer to exhibitions than unforgiving professional boxing.
Are you on performance-enhancing drugs?
If taking
Viagra counts, then yes.
I'm gonna need a yes or a no.
No.
That's true.
Lucky you. The narrative intensified when Jake Paul admitted easing off in certain moments. In isolation, it sounded like sportsmanship, but in context it fueled skepticism. In elite boxing, you don't manage danger for your opponent. Drug testing concerns followed, with Dana White demanding transparency. The lack of independently verified results allowed speculation to grow, linking physical changes and resistance to strict testing into a story that refused to fade.
Publicly stated that I use cocaine. I do not. So I told you, you could randomly cocaine test me for the next 10 years. I believe that you're a cheater, and I believe that you use steroids. So I want to randomly steroid test you for the next 2 years. And that thing that you came out with today, nobody on earth thinks that you really wrote that. You're too stupid.
Medical opinions and commentary from figures like Dylan Dennis added pressure. Not because accusations alone prove guilt, but because the accumulation made denial feel weaker than disclosure. MVP's legal-heavy responses signaled image protection, not reassurance, in a culture where transparency earns respect.
That I brought it up wants to do testing. And he wants to do a set date before the fight. Okay? So he did the cycle, he did whatever, and now he's going to try to take a piss test and clear it and be like, oh, I'm clean. That doesn't count. Okay? It doesn't count. With the money that he has, you can have a doctor clean your system in over 24 hours. Cheeto Vera just went on that podcast and said, you know that. So him doing this is another scam that he does. He's a bullshit artist. He just lies. Everybody knows he's on juice. He's admitted taking peptides. There's doctors that have him in the office saying we're giving him peptides on their website. So like, it's just bullshit. And I don't care about the steroids thing. It's just like, what are we doing here? He has every advantage. He gets to pick the refs. He gets to pick the fucking judge. It's like, come on.
Michael Bisping's critique cut deep because it was calm and experienced. He noted that Paul's opponents were often retired, aging, or celebrity adjacent, and that the one fight against a peer-level boxer, Tommy Fury, ended in defeat, anchoring critics who argue legitimacy requires repeatedly facing prime professionals.
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but they were pretty adamant it would take max 2 rounds to knock out Jake Paul.
The FBI raid narrative added another layer. Even when incidents remain unresolved, repeated proximity to controversy shapes belief. In combat sports, reputation compounds quickly, and each headline reinforced the sense that chaos followed wherever spectacle was monetized.
For being in the public eye, but today YouTube star Jake Paul is making headlines after an FBI raid at his home in Calabasas. Sky 5 was over the scene Wednesday morning as federal agents entered Paul's home in a gated community off Mulholland Highway. 24 feds, some in tactical gear, could be seen carrying evidence from the property, including several firearms. After the search, a SWAT team was seen leaving in a procession of law enforcement vehicles.
The argument isn't that every fight was fake or every accusation true, but that the architecture around Jake Paul's career appears carefully engineered, asking fans to believe in authenticity without the evidence that normally earns it. Legal processes may stretch on, but healing doesn't follow court timelines. Grief, loss, and trauma reshape lives quietly after the noise fades. Figures like Eddie Hearn, Johnny Nelson, and Tyson Fury urge restraint and accountability, reminding fans that behind headlines are real people carrying irreversible loss. This story isn't about heroes or villains, it's about consequences. And whether boxing learns from this moment may determine if such tragedies remain rare or become routine.